Hello, everybody. This is Dustin Kramer, and welcome to the first episode of Luxio Vacations Radio. You know, there's a growing number of people that either have or they're looking for some type of home-based business or side hustle, something they can do to supplement or replace their full-time job. The difficulty here is we live in a ridiculously loud and busy world, and finding time to really work that side hustle is what the challenge is.
Luxio Vacations Radio.
So in today's episode, I have Bert Kramer, Chief Visionary, here with me to talk about finding time versus making time for your business. Welcome to episode 1 of the podcast, Bert.
Thank you, Dustin. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this.
So, okay, looking at let's just jump right into this. Looking at our existing demographics with Luxio Vacations, we have a lot of women. And now there's some guys in there. There's a decent amount, but it's mostly women, and they're between ages 30 and 55. And a lot of them, they have busy schedules. Mm-hmm. They have families. They have kids. Some have, careers, and some of them have houses that they need to attend to and whatnot. And there's 24 hours in a day, right? No one can argue that. I'm not getting any pushback on that.
Nope.
and you're sleeping like 8 to 5 hours a day, which leaves you, I'm bad with math, but 16 to 19 hours or so to, conquer your day, right? And I don't think anyone would argue that you can't create more hours, you can't, make more time or anything like that. So please do me a favor, explain to us what you mean with the whole finding time versus making time for, your career or your new travel business or your side hustle.
Yeah, I mean, I get this, from a lot of, new travel agents. They get into this thing and they're into it a few weeks, a few months, and, they report back, hey, Bert, I'm struggling to find time for my business. And, I'll always, ask the questions like, well, are you working a full-time job? Just tell me what your situation is. And of course, you hit it right on the nose. They're busy. They've got a busy schedule. There's a lot going on. Just it's the time that we live in. And, if you're trying to find time, you're not going to find it. It's not out there because there's always something that's going to take up your time. So, in order for this to work, you've got to make time for your business. And obviously, new agents, they come on board and they've got certain dreams and aspirations and visions of, what this is going to look like. And to be able to achieve that, it's going to take time. And they have to make the time, to do that.
Right. And so, a little thing that I was kicking around when thinking about this topic was like, I use my bike riding as an example. I know it's not a business, but, when I leave the office at 4:35, 5:30, whatever it is, I can, say that I'm going to do a bike ride or whatever in the evening. But, I might get home and get distracted, might, put Netflix on or something. And next thing you know it, I need to run to the grocery store and I've run out of time to actually go on the bike ride because I was just like, if I find some time, I'll go on the bike ride. But if you are making time, it's like you're setting up like a discipline. You're finding a frame in the day to actually say to yourself and be disciplined that I am going on this bike ride. I am working this business, no matter what at this time, or so to speak.
Yeah, I totally get it. If you don't set the appointment, in your case, it's to hop on your bike and to get a ride in. Other stuff's going to come up. Food prep, like going to the grocery store, all that stuff is going to come in there. So, working your business is the same way. If you're looking to say, listen, I want to be able to attain this type of a level of income, for example, and you got to work that backward and say, okay, in order to have X number of dollars in commissions here a month from now, I've got to put in X number of hours per week. So I mean, once you work those numbers backwards, and maybe your first goal is, hey, I want to make $500 a month in this new travel business. You work that backwards. I mean, that's maybe 2 or 3 bookings. That might be just a single booking. So what is it going to take in order to make 1, 2, 3 bookings? How much time are you going to have to put into that? And just kind of like, all right, well, if I run the math and, figure this thing out, I need to put in 6 hours a week into my business. And then it's a matter of taking and scheduling that time in. And you start with, hey, what does my day look like now, and where can I schedule some time in? If I could just kind of back up just a little bit, Dustin, is that things look different in the beginning. So in the beginning, to get through, in our case, our new travel specialist, training, get through the basics, you're going to invest 25 to 30 hours. And it really doesn't matter whether you can get through all of that in a weekend or a week, or if it takes you a month to get through that. But you're going to invest about 25 to 30 hours getting through the basics. That doesn't mean your training is completely done. It just means that this phase of your training is done, and training will look different, moving forward. But so, if your goal is, hey, listen, I want to get through the training in the first 2 weeks, or I want to get through the first month. You do the math on that. You're dividing how, 30 days or, 4 weeks into, 30 hours, and you're going to come up with, what is it, like 7.5 hours a week. Yeah. All right. So I got 7.5 hours a week that I've got to put into this thing in order to get through the training over the course of the next 30 days. So, once you break it down like that, it becomes a little bit more easy to schedule that into your week. Because if you think about it, that's, maybe, 45 minutes per day.
Right, to an hour, yeah.
Yeah, to an hour. And then maybe like it's 2 hours or 3 hours on the weekend. And, before long, you've got your 7.5 hours in for that week. But, you've got to schedule it in there.
Right. And I mean, I know we like to use the cliche soccer mom example.
Yeah.
And I know that, in the morning you're getting them ready, you're taking them to school, because no one rides the bus anymore, because it's an SUV, like show and tell for the moms, who has the better SUV. But like, when you get home, before you have to go pick them up and then drive them to dance and soccer and all those things, you could get distracted cleaning the house or doing whatever, or you could take that hour to, sit down and do your business.
Yeah. And again, part of that is, okay, once you've blocked the time, and by the way, I know I've shared this with you many times, but I am a Google fanatic. I mean, if Google runs my life, specifically Google Calendar, okay?
They don't run his life yet, because we're not in 2030. It's only 2020 soon.
Well, what I mean by that is if I don't put something into Google Calendar, I'm going to forget it. Guaranteed, because I rely on that so heavily. If I've got an appointment and I forget to put it, I will blow right past that, because I'm so used to Google Calendar sending me a notification or an email or alert or something like that to remind me. So once you've blocked out that time, and again, whatever, whether you're using a day timer or however you're managing your time in your day, also including there, well, here's what I plan on doing in that hour that I've got. So if you say, hey, listen, I'm just going to block out 1 hour for my business, and you don't know what you're going to do during that hour,
you'll just end up scrolling Facebook.
Right. You're going to spend a half hour trying to figure out, well, what should I be doing? So, what for the new agent who's going through the training, maybe it's like, listen, I want to complete this module and this module this week. So I'm going to break that down, for the hour I'm going to spend, this particular day doing that, whatever that is. Once you get past the training, it's going to be, all right, so what are my activities looking like that I'm going to be scheduling into this time? Is it that I'm going to spend Sunday evenings, and here's my plug for, scheduling posts, but am I going to use Sunday evening, the 2 hours there, to literally just schedule out all of my social media posts for the entire week, so that that's not one of the things that I've got to do Monday during my hour that I'm working my business, or Tuesday, the 2 hours that I'm working my business. So again, if you're using something like Google Calendar to block out time, make sure that you're including in there, here's what I'm going to be doing during that time. And repetition is going to, make things a lot easier. So, once you're into some type of a routine that hey, Monday evening between 7 and 8 o'clock, that is my time to work my business, and nothing's going to interfere with that. Treat it like it's a doctor's appointment where, it took you a month to get in to see that doctor. You're not going to no-show, or you're not going to cancel that appointment. You're going to show up out of that appointment. If it's an appointment for your business, you're going to show up and you're going to, work that appointment, because how difficult it is to find time.
also known
Did I
as
just say
making
find time to
right?
make time?
Exactly. That is what we would call making time for your business. Is not allowing yourself to have it on the Google Calendar, but just blow past it because I don't know, Netflix uploaded something new or something like. So I mean, we talked about the the initial training and the new people, but what's the other side of the coin look like for someone who has bookings on the books and they're not really going through training anymore? Like, what does making time for their business look like? They've been in it a year, they've got some commissions paid, they have clients they're working with, they have clients that are already waiting to travel. I mean, can they slow down a little bit and kind of let it as it comes to them work it, or do they still need to make time?
I think a year into this, I mean, if we can break down, 1 year into this, what will things look like? Sure, you're going to have clients that are in the process of traveling. Their travel is coming up, so you're making sure that you've got all their information. The reservations are, they're correct and everything. Your clients are really going to determine, how much time you need to put into them. So whether it's follow up, they're going to determine, how many clients do you have actually traveling. But I would still say that a year into this, you're still spending a good chunk of your time in marketing your business. So that's going to be a combination of, the stuff that you're doing on social media to get your name out there, to build your, your following. But then by a year into this, you're going to be spending a good bit of your time generating proposals and quotes and itineraries and getting back with clients and, waiting for them to make up their mind. And then once they do, making those reservations, recording those reservations. So again, things do change. That which is different than I would say 2 to 3 years into this is going to look a lot different from your first year.
Yeah. And I think, when you're training and you're, within your first few weeks, months of this, I think it is easier just to make the time, schedule it, because you're not necessarily dealing with other clients and their schedule. You're kind of just, you're doing this at your pace. But when you have some clients and they call you or they message you while you're at a soccer game, you've got to still find a way to make the time right then and there to, deal with them, right? So it's
no question.
You're always on call, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of what this business is, and that's the pain in this business. It's also the pleasure in this business that you can, work this business around your schedule. You can work it, whenever you want to work it. You don't have to show up and punch a clock and, be at a desk, for 8 hours a day. I mean, you've got the flexibility, but like you said, when that client, reaches out to you, you've got to be available. Now, I understand that we've got a lot of our agents that work other type of jobs, and they really can't deal with their clients, during the 9 to 5 or whatever their regular full-time work shift is. So, we've worked really hard on the technology end of that. So, like one of the things that we use is our 3CX phone system, which, gives you the ability to to basically take your phone with you, your office phone with you, wherever you're going. So, it sits on top of your mobile phone. One of the things that I really like about this this phone app is that you can set yourself away and have an away message. So if you show up at the office at 9 o'clock and you can't take any phone calls between, for the next, several hours, you can set that away and it'll have a away message. Say, hey, this is Sally. I'm not available right now. Please leave your name and message, and I will get back with you as soon as I can. Whatever that happens to be.
Right.
And then that voicemail that the client or the prospect leaves is actually turned into an email and sent to your business email. So you can listen to that. As long as you can check your email, you can listen to your voicemail messages. So that's one thing. Another thing is, of course, email. I know that some of our travel specialists, they actually set their office hours on their email signature file. So when they're emailing with the client sees, Sally's office hours are, 6 p.m. until, 9:30 p.m. and then, the weekends, whatever that is. I mean, again, you got to use the technology if you're, working some other, full-time job and you're not able to take calls, on that full-time job.
And I guess that's okay because odds are some of your clients are going to also have a full-time job
Exactly.
and aren't going to be able to chat with you at, 10:30 a.m.
Yeah.
when they're at work. So it can't be that bad.
And I think most clients understand that. And I think, the most important thing that I share when I'm talking with new agents is to make sure that you're following up quickly. So, I mean, if you get a voicemail and you can't, take a call right now, make sure that you're doing something like sending them an email, sending them a text message, say, hey, listen, I'm tied up right now, I'm in a meeting, I'm unavailable, whatever that happens to be, but I'm going to get back with you about 3 o'clock. Because if you don't get back with them quickly, it's not going to be long and they're no longer going to be your client.
Or if you don't at least just give them a time frame as when you're going to get back.
Exactly. That's what they really want. They don't want to be left hanging. If they leave you a voicemail message and you don't get back to them for 24 hours, they're probably no longer your client.
Right.
They're the client of some other travel agent who did get back with them. So
exactly. So then I want to jump to a pre-framed question that I have here. That might be a painful thing to hear for some people, but it's, are there people who should or should not do this business?
Right. So I think I know where you're going with that.
Is this for everyone kind of thing?
No, it's not. It's definitely not for everyone. And the first thing I want to share with you regarding being that it's not for everyone is if you are that person who has got a schedule that is, hey, I'm taking care of 3 kids and my family, and each one of those kids they've got soccer, they got karate, they've got, dance lessons, and you're the mom who's, transporting back and forth, and you just don't have the time to put into your business, or, maybe this isn't the best time for you. Or maybe this is a time for you to do some, studying, reading, but really, running a business while you're, super busy with a career and family that, quite frankly, maybe it's, it's not the right time in your life to do something like this.
Oh, yeah. So what's the second part of that response then?
Well, one of the things, and again, maybe this is, topic for another podcast.
Probably.
But, there are some people that just, they're so used to working for somebody. They're so used to, having a job, and they have a schedule, and they have a boss, and they have, a set of tasks that they have to do that, and they, the assurance or the comfort and those kind of things is that, on Friday they get, a paycheck, regardless. If they showed up and they sat at their desk for 8 hours a day for the last 5 days, on Friday, they're pretty much guaranteed they're going to have a paycheck. And when someone shifts over to being an entrepreneur, you've got your own business and you don't have a boss, you are your own boss. Sometimes it's difficult for them to mentally shift gears and understand that, hey, listen, you've got to be self-motivated enough to go out and do the things you have to do so that by the end of the week or the end of the month, you've got clients who have traveled and you've got a commission. And for some people, it's really uncomfortable thinking that I'm going to get paid because of me, not because of a title that I've got and a position I hold within a company, and there's an HR department and there's a payroll department, and I'm going to get a paycheck on Friday, shifting that over to, hey, I'm the boss of this company and I'm responsible for generating revenue. And if I want a paycheck, 2 weeks from now, that I've got to be self-motivated enough to do the things that are going to lead to that paycheck. And for some people, that's a real big struggle. They're just not comfortable feeling secure enough in themselves that they can be responsible for, 100% responsible for generating that income.
Right. So then, like, another question, what is wrong with just winging it? Just giving this a try, and I'll just find time. I'm just going to wing it and find time. I've got the career, so this is my side hustle, as people call it. I'm just going to kind of, when the time comes, it comes.
Yeah, again, that side hustle thing, that's become really popular, at least that, that terminology. And I don't think that, just because we've changed the name from, a part-time business or a side business to a side hustle, that we've changed the level of commitment that you need to have to put into something like that there. So again, if you're doing this, I always use the saying that, anything worth doing is worth doing right and putting 100% of your effort into that. So, if you really want to, start a new career as a travel agent, travel specialist, work in the travel industry, helping people to plan and book vacations, and you've got to be committed to it. And you can't just wing that. No one's going to do business with you if they can sense that, hey, you're just winging this business.
What, for our listeners who might be just winging it, what are some things that stand out to you or have stood out to you in the past years as an indicator that someone's just winging it?
Again, this is probably a topic for another podcast, but yeah, there's definitely. I mean, over the years, I've literally spoke with thousands of travel agents, both prospective and travel agents that have joined our team. And there's a couple of things. It's if I reach out to them, or if they send an email question and I respond back and I don't hear anything, or if someone says, hey, can you give me a call, and you call and they don't answer the phone, or you call and you get their voicemail message and it's some hokey message on there that's not professional, or a ringtone that's not professional. It's like, this is probably somebody who's winging it, they're not real serious. The other thing, a big pet peeve of mine is that when you send an email to somebody, you got to have a signature file. You got to have your information on that email. And I had somebody who just today, they sent me an email, and literally they had a couple of questions on there and did not have any information on there. They didn't put their name on there, their phone number, their email, or any information. I had to, thankfully I was able to take their email address and look it up in their system and find out who this person actually was. So, I mean, it's different things like that, that shows that, hey, the level of commitment is really, is not there. I had another person who just recently, she said, hey, listen, I'd like to talk with you. I've got some questions, but can you call me, at 7 o'clock? And you call at 7 o'clock and it rings and rings. You call back 10 minutes later, no one answers. That's, for in my eyes, that's kind of indicative of how they're going to treat their clients too.
Right.
So, like I said, a whole topic.
Yeah, no, that is, I'm going to write that down. Just winging it is a topic.
Yeah.
So then you have any parting words to just summarize the finding time versus making time?
Well,
is there any glimmer of hope of?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been self-employed for most of my life, and I have had a couple of regular jobs, job, and I was appreciative for those things. But I have been, the person who, I'm responsible to me to make things happen, and I know that. Back in 1996, I left my Fortune 500 job, and I started working from home, and I would get up in the morning and walk down the hallway to my office, and I put in office hours. I mean, I did the 7:30 until 9:30, and that was 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. It wasn't
right.
The 7:30.
I guess I could definitely attest to that, because I was in the house, and you definitely made the time, I would say, instead of just finding it. Because
well, yeah, but again, if you are that person that's working your job and you're not to the point yet that you can quit that job and do your travel business full time, you really do have to be realistic on how much time you've got based on your family's needs for you. Because again, family comes first. So based on those kind of things, how much time can you realistically put into this? And I think that things do get easier the more you do this, and clients are more responsive, and then there's repeat clients and clients that send you referrals, and once your client feels good working with you, you've booked some trips for them, they're a lot more ready to trust your word, not have you go back and change itineraries and travel times and all those kind of things. So it definitely does get better. But in the beginning, you do have to develop some habits and some time management skills, and again, setting some time aside for your business.
Yeah, and you'll get into a flow of how you do business, how you function, the things that you do you use your phone more, do you use a tablet more, pen and paper, you'll get into a flow, and you'll find a way to make time for your business. Do you have, any plug or whatnot, any website to go to if someone that's listening who's not a travel agent would maybe want to become a travel agent?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We've got our website at lexivovacations.com/join. That's where you can go and get information about our program, learn all about, what it's like to become a travel specialist with the Lexivo Vacations, what's included in our program, and then You can request information there. You can actually enroll into the program right there. And, usually within 24 to 48 hours, we've got you all set up into our system. And, we've got somebody that calls all of our new agents in their first, again, 24 to 40 hours to make sure they've got, they're, in our system and that they've, don't have any questions, and really to point them in the direction. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, that just about does it for this topic. Finding time versus making time for your business. I would recommend that you make time for your business, which is really just self-discipline. Cool. So it was a pleasure chatting. Join us next week, hopefully, for episode 2, where we dive into how Bert got into the travel industry. And there'll be some nice stories there, I'm sure. So again, thank you, and have a good day.